Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your dude EBD. You thought I wasn't serious about getting this YouTube money, right? Wrong. Now, today, I will be doing my first anime review video. And hey, why not review a series that might not be too well known here in the States, but extremely popular in Japan, my second home? Yes, it is none other than JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, what I like to call an RPG type of series, where you start out at your weakest, but progressively improve your abilities to grinding and major battles. It was adapted by Yasuko Kobayashi and produced by David Productions in 2012. The first season has a total of 26 episodes, consisting of the first and second arc of the manga. This series is primarily an action slash adventure and at times comedy. In a nutshell, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is about the bloody feud between an ancient vampiric race and the Joestar lineage. However, as you progress through the story, you find yourself watching what could be a typical Shonen Jump clone, but more on the plot spoilers later. Still, as far as the action aspect goes, I found myself semi-engaged throughout the boss battles. The fighting dynamics were more or less standard, although the repetitive comedy skits did help to fill in the gaps. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the series' peculiar art style. I've got to say, one of the things that really kept me from dropping the series was its unique art style and how well it goes with the series. The art style isn't the conventional anime, adult trapped in a child's body type. Instead, it resembles the type of art you would see in a comic book where the drawings are more masculine and rough around the edges. Also, just like comic books, most of the noises coming from the sudden actions are displayed to the sides as sketched words. As far as the art style, mixing well with the series, it is very appropriate. The protagonists have the same characteristics as some of the heroes you would see in a comic book. To name a few, I could see the similarities between DC characters like Superman and Batman. In regards to the plot, what can I say that I didn't already mention? I simply wasn't impressed with the direction the series went after the first arc. While watching the first few episodes, the story felt fresh and unpredictable. With the sudden introduction of a new character, I wasn't sure how well it would all pan out and which character I should be cheering on. After some interesting developments, which I will leave the viewer to find out, I was invested in the series and thought the possibilities of the final outcome were endless. But, to my dismay, after the climax in the first arc, things began to feel awfully familiar and almost repetitive. The second arc followed the basic premise of the first with a not so huge plot twist in the end. I don't know, could it be considered a plot twist? Because it didn't have much bearing on the final outcome and ending of the first season. Unfortunately, it is a shame that my opinion of the series slowly deteriorated the farther along I went. However, I must applaud the series' incredible pacing during both of its arcs. The plot progressed surprisingly fast without leaving me a second to blink. Finally, we get into the nitty gritty, guys, a personal must that heavily sways my opinion on how well a series is. Of course, it's character development and character design. This series has a fairly short cast and primarily focused on a few characters. Funny enough, although the main characters are the ones that are focused on the most, they seem for the most part stay stagnant. This is fine because there's a certain amount of honor that characters receive for sticking to their ways until the very end. On the other hand, the minor characters, that for some reason seem to pop in and out, are developed the most. This is due to the many time skips that occur throughout the series. Still, I appreciate the fact that most of the cast stayed alive to the very end, and we are able to see how everyone's future turned out. Even though I don't care what anyone says, a couple of the supporting characters should have died, but because of the plot shield, they just had to sacrifice a few limbs in exchange. Moving on, let's discuss one of the most subtle but important categories. Music goes hand in hand with characters' voice acting. A lot of the times we take that for granted and expect nothing but the best. This series' background music and sound effects were fine, but not something I would hear outside of the series. The fight scenes had an odd track record of playing techno or club music, while serious discussions didn't have any suspenseful or captivating music to it. The sound effects were accurate and never out of place. As a whole, the music in this series was decent, but didn't leave me wanting to hear more. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. You might be asking, okay, Professor EBD, you talk a lot of smack. Well, hurry up and give us your final score so we can watch your next review video. Alright, students, settle down. My final verdict for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Season 1 is a 6 out of 10. Unfortunately, the series stagnates after the first arc, and in turn brought my overall score down. If I were to rate the first arc alone, I would give it a respectable 7 or 8 out of 10 in a heartbeat. The music was average, the characters and art left a nice impression, but the plot really lacked any ingenuity and gave me a familiar reaction. As I stated earlier, the culprit responsible for my average reception of this series has to be the recycled plot. Well guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review video. If you did, don't be shy and hit the like and subscribe button. Stay tuned to my next review video coming very soon. It's your dude EBD, and I am